Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do appreciate your time. My name is Emake, and today I have a short commentary on a few things that I believe that fans would love to see from the Gotham Knights game. Now, at the end of this video, if at all you enjoy the content, you may subscribe, click the like button, or whatever it is, or comment below. And I'm sure that's basically going to be very, very helpful in promoting or even making the content better in the future. Now, one of the reasons I haven't made a video like this or even talked about something of this nature in a while is because a lot of my other videos have given me the opportunity to have more in-depth discussions and gain a wider perspective on what fans will love to see from the Gotham Knights game. In fact, very interestingly, I've been able to have a lot of feedback specifically detailing some of the things that gamers will want, even to the detail of the kind of villains and also some things like, the kinds of skins, the kind of gameplay sequences people want. And from all of that information that I've been able to gather, I think I've been able to narrow it down to three main things that I believe that most Gotham Knights fan would want to see in this game. So I'm going to go across the list and I'm going to try my best to explain in as simple as a manner as I can. And the very first one is a very strong plot line, or you can say a story, however you want to put it. So right now, we've seen that the plotline is based on the four heroes, Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and also the Red Hood. And there are basically two villain groups that have been revealed. A lot else, has basically been speculation. And I think maybe we're probably going to be seeing Two-Face, but that's something that Patrick Redding did not confirm nor deny in an interview where the writer actually referred to Two-Face. And so when you think about these villains, it's not only the fact of just having these villains in the game. You see, even Two-Face himself, as the example that I brought forward, was in Arkham Knight, but he wasn't necessarily well written. Whereas if you look at even a character who made very short appearances like Poison Ivy, she had a very, very huge role to play. And even though she wasn't fully in the game as a boss, she eventually came around to helping the Batman. Her writing and her presentation was actually quite superior to that of, Harvey Dent, Two-Face. So in bringing characters to the game, having four protagonists, having some of the best and most intense villains, that may not be enough to be able to drive this game home if there's no strong story. That's the fundamental. So a foundation of a very good plot needs to be in this game. Now, I have to credit it to the development team in their advertising and marketing on the reveal of this game. They have done one of the best things that you can do from a story perspective, which is create tension, especially for a familiar franchise. They've insinuated that Batman, Bruce Wayne himself, might be dead. This alone is a huge way to cause tension and to cause curiosity, and I think they're probably going to play on this in order to deliver the story. And if they're able to do a very good job, I personally believe that fans are going to be happy to engage in the product. And the second thing is combat. Now, as crazy as it may sound, Batman fans really do like their combat. They like their combat, be it stealth, melee, basically whatever it is you want to call it, as a, I don't know what you want to, maybe a mixture of all of the above. But one of the things that Batman fans have been conditioned with, especially with the Arkham games, being made some of the best superhero games, basically crowned as those, is that combat has to be very good and combat has to be very grounded and unique. Now, I've seen different perspectives on this. I've had some people jokingly mock the Gotham, Knight, or what you call him, Batman's combat, and say, he does some really weird stuff, like he dashes across the, the stage, or dashes across the arena and is able to punch one guy here and do some really weird, crazy moves there. But I think many have missed the spirit of the combat design. Now, they have an outlandish combat system that's actually been set up for this particular game. In fact, if you ask me, from a gameplay perspective, it's a very difficult thing to do, to make your combat like this. But I think they've not only just done it just for the sake of making something outlandish, but to follow the spirit of what a comic book superhero would look like. For those of you who are, into the old school comic reading, you notice that back then, whenever they wanted to express collision between maybe saying a superhero hits someone or uses an object to hit another person, they'd use all these outlandish, type of expressions like kapow, slam, all of these expressions. I think those outlandish expressions, those outlandish animations, formations, positions, and even feats of athleticism that a lot of these superheroes would basically engage in were designed to be very interesting and to be out of this world. And I think the combat in the Arkham games were basically designed to follow suit. So if Batman basically does a tiger crawl and dashes across the stage and breaks somebody's arm, I know in reality it's very challenging for a human being to do something like that, but it's what the game is about, and it's what the developers were trying to follow in the spirit of. Now, this is not to say that Gotham Knights must do combat like Arkham, but nonetheless, Gotham Knights must make solid combat that is at least in the spirit of what the Gotham Knights have to bring to the table. And I think fans are going to be very, very excited if the development team can actually knock out the combat. Yes, there are still other concerns because we haven't really seen much. Hopefully, we're able to see something that is satisfying to the audience. I really do wish personally, though, that we're going to see something of the Arkham combat, but with the multiplayer in play, we don't know what all is going to be basically looked at. We've also heard some reports that these combat systems are receiving an overhaul based on the world, based on multiplayer and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it comes down to that equation where combat has to be a solid entry in the game. And then finally, I want to basically speak about this particular thing that I feel many audience members are basically, asking for or requesting in different comments or just basically packaged under different themes, and that is authenticity. Now, when I say authenticity, I mean that the game has to be grounded in authentic themes from the setting, from the world, even up to little things like the cosmetics. Now, many fans have talked about the different skins that they would like to see, the different costumes, the different outfits that these superheroes are going to be using. And I genuinely believe that there's a very huge opportunity to be able to leverage the authentic nature of these superheroes, bringing them or representing them from different storylines, representing them from different events, different timelines, in order for the fans to be able to enjoy them in those specific paradigms. If you think about it, Batman in most of the Batman games basically has a lot of different skins that he has access to. In fact, I think Arkham Knight might have one of the better collections of skins when it comes to the Batman, superhero skin collection. He's got stuff from Flashpoint. He's got stuff from the 1998 movie or whatever it is. He's got stuff from even the Christopher Nolan, iteration. I mean, it's insane how many different Batman costumes you have. And even the Batmobiles are also representative of the different Batmobiles all the way throughout. These are very, very interesting additions that were added to the game, and they do bring a level of authenticity that's there. So when it comes to the Gotham Knights, I know for sure that fans have asked for specific skins, specific outfits that will basically represent this. In fact, one very popular one so far is the Red Hood, and many people would love to see the under the Red Hood skin being represented, especially when Arkham Knight did not necessarily show too much of what Red Hood could basically be depicted as. I'm talking from an artistic perspective, using some of those, costumes. I think fans are somewhat hungry about that. But that's not necessarily only the case. I mean, there are other themes that do need to show that authenticity of the entirety of the game. Like the villains need to be depicted in the way that we know and the way that we, recognize and have grown with them. And I think so far so good. The development team seem to be on that track. If you look at the reveal with Mr. Freeze, he did have that, that same kind of boldness that he usually has as a villain, where he's almost always confident about everything that he's doing. I mean, if we're going to see a villain like the Penguin, he needs to be squirmy and he needs to be, kind of weird or awkward in a sense. He just has to be that kind of a villain, basically, that is able to just, bring this weird, funny outlook to things. And thinking about all of this, you have to put it all together. You think about even potentially other villains that may show up, maybe potentially Bane, maybe potentially Two-Face. They have to have those themes that mark them as exactly who they are. And then lastly, when it comes to authenticity, the Gotham Knights themselves need to be true to the characters. They need to be true to exactly what it is that they're setting out to do. And that is to figure out what happened to the Batman, and at the same time trying to resolve crime in Gotham City, while they're also also dealing with their own personal issues in the game. Because I think the villains provide an opportunity for these characters to be able to basically fight their own internal demons, or I would say have internal conflict, which is something that's very important in story writing as a whole. But these three things I feel like are going to make the Gotham Knights game a very solid addition to the Batman collection based, on characters, or even set after the Arkham games, or I would say a more modern collection of what Batman and Batman themed games could look like. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Is there something I may have missed? Let me know as well. And thank you very much for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the like button or subscribe if you have not done that. And hopefully we'll talk in another video. Peace out.